I'm Ashton Addison from Blockwest Capital for Investment Pitch Media, and today on the Crypto Coin Show we have Gordon Meyer, Head of Marketing at MamaRoo. Gordon, welcome to the show, and thank you for taking the time.
Oh, my pleasure, Ashton. Glad to be here.
Likewise, excited to hear a little bit more about MamaRoo today. I've seen you guys around, and it looks fascinating. Excited to dive into also emerging markets, your insight into where cryptocurrency is going and who will benefit from it, and how MamaRoo is helping people as well. I'd love to just dive into the conversation with a little bit about MamaRoo for those who haven't heard of it and what your team's been working on, and then we'll dive into all the details.
Sure. I think, to tell the Mamoru story, first let's kind of zoom out a little bit and talk about the parent company. So AP Capital is a crypto-focused hedge fund, $450 million plus, been around for the last decade, headed by our CEO, Patrick Chu. We're in 16 different countries, over 20 cities with established offices, and importantly, fiat on-ramps in those countries. And so you can imagine it's a pretty natural extension then from that core business to expand to the retail market with a crypto-focused exchange and open that up to the people in these countries that we do business with. Again, we have those fiat on-ramps, so we already had a leg up versus a lot of the competition in those markets. And the decision was made to build an exchange from the ground up. A lot of exchanges these days, and maybe some of the traders out there don't know that, but it's off the shelf code. A lot of the exchanges are literally line by line of code, exactly the same. So I'm proud to represent a company that really took the user experience to heart and to mind and built from the ground up with the end user as the focus. So you have this great brain trust of over 100 professional crypto traders, market makers, adding their input into what makes an exchange good, combined with people like myself in marketing or in product, who are making sure that we're building something that's going to be really attractive to traders around the world, especially in markets like emerging markets where there's that deep need to get involved. And whereas in, let's say, a more established place like America, where people are more entrenched, elsewhere in the world, it's a little bit more of a necessity, honestly. And rather than looking at the sort of like the early adopter, right? In places where it's a necessity, you're going after a little bit more of a mass population, maybe somebody who's less technologically savvy, less likely to jump through all the hoops and all the kind of silly things that exchanges make you do in order to just get involved and not necessarily trade Bitcoin, but buy it, to just get involved and acquire some Satoshis and get into the game and start diversifying your portfolio.
Wow, great intro, Gordon. And yeah, it's fascinating to see and to hear about the growth in the emerging markets. And I feel like that's where DeFi it can be most benefited from the, it's not just the people that are in America that are already in the system and they're like, oh, like this is nice, I get to finally use this technology myself and take control of my own finances. It's those people that they didn't even have access to sort of the centralized solutions, or out of necessity, they need to find other ways to get access to capital and get into cryptocurrency. And I feel like when you're in America, you hear about some of these American exchanges and you see like, oh, there's a lot of growth there. But I feel like, the turning point for, mainstream adoption is going to be outside of that. In these other countries, and I'm interested to hear on out of all these countries that the parent company and what the exchange is working on, where do you have any examples of some of these higher growth areas on where the exchange is actually functioning well, and where we're going to be seeing more DeFi kind of adoption in different countries?
Sure. I mean, if you're following the crypto story, there's no doubt in my mind that you're looking at the top markets, and Turkey happens to be among the top markets in terms of the population of Turkey and their willingness to adopt. And there's good reason for that, right? Unlike in, let's say, the USA, where people are kind of gambling in a sense, or they're looking for those big pops, in other parts of the world, it's very, very different. Turkey's inflation rate has surpassed 83%. It's a 24-year high. Right? So this is not necessarily something that is a nice to have. This becomes something that is a have to have, right? This is where crypto is not a game, but a necessity. And so it's a very different mindset of the trader in an emerging market like Turkey or say Brazil than it is in the United States or in Western Europe, right? So, crypto can be a refuge from Turkey's high inflation, the steep devaluation of the lira. Even as I'm enabling marketing in that country, the prices for these things are fluctuating so high that I establish a budget and a price for whatever that initiative might be. We're going to be at Istanbul Blockchain Week, and the check that I have to write is changing week over week. So you think about that, right? Because a lot of the downside for, I think, a lot of the people waiting on the sidelines about getting into crypto is that the volatility is an issue. And, it depends on your mindset. For some traders, the volatility is a feature, not a bug. The volatility can be very fun. The fact that this is a market that's open 24/367, you can trade on New Year's Eve if you'd like. You don't need to wait for the bank to open. You don't need the markets to open. They're always open. And for that adrenaline rush, for a lot of us, that's a big part of the fun. I think for certain nations where the national currency itself is more volatile than Bitcoin, you can imagine then. We say that Bitcoin is digital gold. In some places, that's really true, or at least it's safer than the volatility of their own domestic currency.
Wow, that's a great example, and it is nice to hear something like Istanbul Blockchain Week. It's like it's not just people trying to get out of their national currency because of the hyperinflation. There's actually people building and like Web3 development going on in there as well to sort of get people involved more than just buying the currency. And from what I've seen in Turkey, for example, I also saw that some of these major exchanges like that are popular in the West, like Binance, for example, they also see these opportunities in the emerging markets, and they're also trying to get into Turkey and get their piece of the pie to help people get in there, but also grow their user base. So I feel like obviously there's a lot of potential in emerging markets, and MamaRoo can definitely benefit from that. But also all the other exchanges are trying to do the same as well. Is that a friendly competition, or how do you approach these markets that are like there's ripe for user base, but also the other competitors sort of see like, hey, they also see the same thing?
Well, I think one important distinction for MamaRoo versus the competition is not only do we build the exchange from the ground up with the end user in mind, but we've also got people on the ground in these places, right? So we have an office in downtown Istanbul. Our customer care team is there on the ground. And so for the attendees, for instance, coming to Istanbul Blockchain Week, when they come to our booth, they'll be able to talk to sort of like a Genius Bar, but they'll be able to talk to customer care professionals from our company to help them either sign up or to deal with any kind of questions or concerns they may have with their account. Now, I've been in the business for a long time. I've been to plenty of events that are sponsored by the larger exchanges, and yet if you really do, and I'm on pretty much all of them, but if I have a real question for Coinbase, right, who do I ask? Do I go to a conference with their title sponsorship and everything else? Am I able to walk up to a table and say, hey, I got a question about my account and get the question answered? Very often the answer is sadly no. And I think this is a central issue. Back in the 90s, I was involved with the .com revolution. I helped Schwab.com build their first website to do banking on the internet when that was considered to be kind of risky, right? Back in those days, getting things shipped to you from an e-commerce retailer was you had to second guess whether or not you could give away your credit card. But what the crypto exchanges are getting wrong is you can't throw the baby out with the bathwater. The banks got certain things very, very right, namely customer care, customer service. I know for a fact with my fiat bank, if I have a problem, I can pick up my phone, I can physically walk to a branch, I know who I can talk to, and I know I can get my problem resolved. I think very often these larger exchanges, there's just nobody home. It's just like a failing of say Amazon. If I have a problem and I want to call Amazon, there's no phone number. There's no one I can really talk to. There's the delivery person who drops off my package, and that's about the only human contact that I have with this company. And I think when it comes to your finances, your financial future, and especially if you're in a market where times are tough and people are watching their life savings dwindle day over day, having that point of contact, having somebody that you trust is paramount. And I think that's a lesson that the larger players are slowly going to learn. I think that they're moving a little slower than a company like ours, which is much more nimble, again, backed by AP Capital, backed by this great hedge fund, and able to take a long view, but staff it right.
Yeah, great point, Gordon. And, I feel like when you bring an exchange into these emerging markets, sort of the onboarding process might be slightly different than you would see in the US. I'm curious on, obviously there's people, they're looking at their bank accounts and they're like, oh man, like our money is getting worth less and less each day. How can we quickly get this into an asset that's going to preserve value? And then from there, can we make money, or how do we not continue losing money?
Right.
So with MamaRoo, how do you onboard people, for example, in Turkey, the same way, like from your bank transfer, and then you just leave it in Bitcoin and hold it on the exchange? Or can you give an example of how somebody would be able to preserve their wealth and then maybe make something off of it afterwards?
Sure. Well, I mean, first and foremost, there's a process known as KYC, and for those of you out there who don't know the acronym, it's Know Your Customer, and that's an anti-money laundering capability in the financial industry that the fiat world knows very, very well, that the crypto world has self-adopted, before regulation comes down and stamps this all down. So there are certain requirements that we go through and ask of the user in order to establish their identity. And obviously, if you want to on-ramp fiat currency from a financial institution in your home nation, right, that's automatically helping us establish who this person is and what their identity is, what their home address is, and that they're a legal citizen or whatever. So those hurdles, if you will, for signing up are present in the regular banking industry. All of us are used to filling out that big, obnoxiously long form when we want to get a credit card. This is not that much different. I think the question then becomes, once you've onboarded your bank and funded your wallet with a convenient fiat on-ramp, we don't just take Bitcoin or crypto, as a lot of our competition in the emerging markets do, but we also take the local fiat currency, and then the user has the option. And I think any smart trader is going to hold back a certain amount of fiat currency in their crypto trading account, because you want it there. You don't want to delay. When you see an opportunity in the market, you want to be able to hit that buy button and get involved, right? So having 100% of your funds in crypto can maybe be a bad thing, especially if you want to arbitrage the volatility that's even inherent in all crypto, right? But what we're also expanding is our products. So it's not just buy, sell, trade crypto. It's earn, it's staking, it's getting involved in other projects like that will benefit the user. And then we've also offered, I think what's very novel is an NFT. And an NFT in and of itself is not particularly novel, but here I think what is rather than having it be just like a JPEG photograph, which is probably the most simplistic use of what I find a really exciting technology. And I look forward to the day when documentation. I mean, there's a diploma over my shoulder. There's going to be a day when that's going to be an NFT, right? Then it's verifiable, it's secure. So what we are offering is actually an NFT with utility. It's a VIP membership card that gets you in as an early adopter of MamaRoo, which unlocks better yield rates. It unlocks access to parties. We're throwing a big party, for instance, in Istanbul during Blockchain Week. If you're a holder of this VIP Genesis NFT, you get automatic access. You also get dedicated customer service representatives and other benefits. So we do that because at the end of the day, our community and our traders, it's like a family. It's like you're joining a club, right? And we're developing that relationship. If you think about a traditional fiat bank, you may feel if you've had a relationship for decades or whatever, you have that, or if you're used to going down to the brick and mortar and talking to the staff over there when you open up your account, you have that relationship. With crypto exchanges, it's pretty easy to move your money from account to account. It's pretty easy to bounce around crypto exchanges and play that game if you want. So the question becomes, what does make it sticky? What does keep people there? And first and foremost, it's the core offering, where anything that you want, whatever it's trading specific cryptos or diversifying your portfolio with other crypto products, we have it. But it's also giving people entrance into a club, let's say even getting into our Discord, where our advanced traders from our parent company are there to offer some sage advice on trading strategy or to talk to other traders amongst the community. I think that's powerful because I think at the end of the day, this always was, Satoshi's vision was that this is a grassroots effort. It really does need to start from the people. This is about the will of the people and getting together as a collective and in this endeavor. And it's no reason why the politicians around the world see this as a threat. I think that this technology, blockchain technology, is not just going after the world of finance. It's not going to stop there. Politics is next. Voting is next. The abilities of NFTs to become your voter identification card is coming. And so, we see governments, especially governments in emerging markets, having a, somewhat welcoming, tentative relationship with it. They get it. Erdogan himself has come out and said that blockchain has real value. I think what concerns him is the gambling. I would side with that. I think it's a very rational position. Let's not go out there and gamble. Be smart with your money. But that being said, I don't think a government really necessarily in this day and age has the ability to stop the will of the people from using their finances in any way that they choose.
Yeah, great point. And I like that approach with the NFTs, and I'm looking forward to seeing NFTs 2.0 and 3.0 and sort of beyond just these JPEG arts to actually have more utility. So I'm interested to look a little bit more into MamaRoo's like NFT strategy and how you're using that. That's very cool, Gordon. Now, traditionally in the crypto markets, we've seen cycles where there's like a huge bull pump and a lot of people get excited, and like a lot of new people sort of file into exchanges and the volume goes up a lot, and then on the way down, a lot of people just start holding or they don't trade, and there's not a lot of volumes. But in this case, I feel like it's a little different with MamaRoo, because at the same time as it's going down, there's these national currencies with the hyperinflation, and it's a little bit different in emerging markets because people aren't just going into the exchange for the first time because they see Bitcoin they see Bitcoin rising and they're like, oh, like I should get into this and sort of catch this wave. They're like, my currency is dying, like I need to get out. And like this is, even if Bitcoin is just flat, it's better than my national currency. So with that said, I feel like maybe there could still be an uptake of new users, even in a sideways or down market in crypto, because it's really not as bad as what they're used to. I'm curious if you've seen that reflection in MamaRoo's exchange, and are you seeing a huge growth despite what the market's doing in new users going into MamaRoo?
I think this is a matter of this is a protective maneuver from people in emerging markets, right? So I think there is a general misunderstanding of crypto. I think especially where people have a pain point of their local currency being highly volatile and heading towards the floor, is you got to get smart fast, right? And so I think a lot of misconceptions, for instance, is that people believe that you have to buy one whole Bitcoin, right? You don't need to buy one whole Bitcoin. It goes out 8 decimal places, unlike the US dollar, which only goes out 2. That is a new idea for certain people. Not everybody. Some people listening to this right now, they will now learn that, right? You can buy $1 worth of Bitcoin if you want. So if you think about it, if you're risk averse and let's say you're comfortable with, I don't know what your think about your non-essential bill, but you pay it anyway, your Netflix bill or something like that. $15 a month, $20 a month, can you get in? But you can buy $20 worth of crypto. On MamaRoo, you can do that and even automate it, right? So you can set that, pull the money from your account in a non-threatening amount, something low, but get involved and start to accumulate. And that's the mind of what we call the trader. I think for a lot of people, it's not necessarily trading. They don't have 4 monitors on their desk. They're not day traders. These are not people executing 5+ trades a day. This is accumulate, hodl, get involved in the exciting projects where you feel like there's going to be a big bump. Right? But this is an investing strategy that includes all the other things, whether that's real estate or holding your regular currency, gold, you name it, buying stocks, right? But any smart person, investor, is going to want to be involved. And the great thing about crypto is you can get involved for small amounts of money. For an exchange like ours, where we have no hidden fees, we make it very easy for people to get involved. And in a country like Turkey, where their republic is turning 100 next year, right? So we've also enjoyed the fact that the government, I think, not wanting to rock the boat, has largely left this area unregulated. So they've frowned at the gambling aspect of it, and I do too. I think that's wise, but we haven't seen a major smackdown of crypto, and I think with good reason. I think the the power in Turkey understands that this is the will of the people. I think to shut it down now could affect the elections happening next year. Erdogan is up for re-election in 2023. I think we're seeing that around the world, whether in other emerging markets as well, is that when in these emerging markets, adoption is higher on a percentage basis than elsewhere. And I think the ruling government knows that this is not something they want to necessarily trifle with and get crack it down too much. We have to let the innovation grow. There's a lot of amazing innovation happening in Turkey, and walk down the streets of Istanbul, you will notice, you'll see the ATMs if you want to exchange your local currency. There's a lot of really amazing crypto-focused businesses there, and it'll be great to see that growth as time goes on, especially as Turkey celebrates its centennial.
Mm-hmm. Incredible, Gordon, and have fun at that Istanbul Blockchain Week. And some of my friends organizing it, and they've been doing it for a long time, and I know it's an incredible event, so I'm sure that will be fun as well. Now, looking forward to the next couple of years for MamaRoo and hopefully the next bull cycle, what's part of the strategy or roadmap for MamaRoo's growth in getting more users and expanding out?
So, I mean, it's sort of a cliche, but it's accurate, right? This is the time to build, right? This is what we're in this crypto winter. I think it's going to go on for quite a while more. I don't know that we'll see a thawing of the crypto winter at all in 2023. That's a dire prediction. No one's a bigger fan of this technology than me, but I have to be honest with your viewers and listeners. I think we're in it for the long haul. But this is good news for those who are developing a product that really does fit the needs of the people, right? These are not imaginary human beings out there that you think about in the boardroom when you're brainstorming a new business. This is very tight, good market fit. Well, all we have time to do now is to expand our offering and enrich its capabilities so that it's much more attractive. And once the crypto winter thaws, and we start to see a lot more people jumping in order to take advantage of what they're reading inevitably on the home screen of their local news website, on the front pages of their newspapers, that Bitcoin and crypto is taking off, we'll be ready and we'll be there. And more importantly, we'll be there with our own office, our brick and mortar office, with our staff, with our team, right, to guide people as they jump in. But what I'm seeing right now, and it's really encouraging, is getting people to sign up in emerging markets is pretty easy. There's a real appetite there, and there's no harm in joining more than one exchange. And what we're seeing certainly is people that may have already been involved in crypto joining with us just to see what we have going on. I think they're attracted to some of the novel offerings we have in the marketplace. The membership NFT being a great example, something that we launched just last month and already has a major adoption. And those NFT holders in Istanbul will get to go to a great party, get to meet me, get to meet the rest of the team, and have some fun and get some advice.
Very cool. Great insights, Gordon, and all the best with the growth for MamaRoo and throughout 2023. And let's hope the crises in these countries don't get too bad, but the people get into something that can help preserve their wealth before it's too late. So I really appreciate your insights into the industry and into MamaRoo. All the best with the growth, and let's follow up in the near future.
Thank you so much.